Hello students, this is part 1 of chapter number 1, Reproduction in Organisms of class 12 Biology. In this video, we will discuss the following topics: introduction to the topic reproduction, then asexual reproduction in organisms, then we will do only introduction part of sexual reproduction. Let us start with definition of reproduction. Reproduction is a biological process in which organism produces young ones, or you can say organism produces offsprings similar to itself. You can see this is the offspring. This offspring grow, mature and in turn produce new offspring, and there is a cycle of birth, growth and finally the death of the organism, and the period from birth to natural death of the organism is called as its life span. What is the importance of the process reproduction? Reproduction enables the continuity of species generation after generation on earth. अगर किसी स्पीशीज की continuity बनाकर रखनी है अर्थ पर, then the reproduction process is very much essential. In this table, you can find lifespan of some organisms. For example, rose, lifespan is 5 to 7 years. Butterfly, lifespan is 1 to 2 weeks. Fruit fly, lifespan is 2 weeks. Parrot, it is 140 years. Tortoise, it is 100 to 150 years. Elephant, it is from 50 to 70 years. So, you can write down the lifespan of these organisms in your notebook. लेकिन lifespan जितना भी हो किसी भी organism का, whatever be the lifespan, death of every individual organism is a certainty. No individual is immortal. कोई भी individual immortal नहीं होता except unicellular organisms. Unicellular organism like amoeba. What happens in this? You can see by binary fission, when they reproduce, the parent amoeba divides into two daughter amoebae. Thus, there is no death of parent amoeba. Now, let us see the type of reproduction based on the number of participants. कितने participants हैं, कितने organism participate कर रहे हैं reproduction process में. Based on this, reproduction is of two types: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Let us start with asexual reproduction. It is a reproduction in which single parent participate in the process of reproduction. It is seen in unicellular organisms, some simple plants and animals. The offsprings are identical to one another and to their parent. Such morphological and genetically similar individuals are called as clones. See it here. This is the parent starfish forming two daughter starfishes. These two are very much identical to each other as well as they are identical to their parents. In all respects, they are identical morphologically and genetically. Thus, these types of identical copies of offsprings are called as clones. Okay. Now, let us see the types of asexual reproduction. In this video, we will study 4 different types of asexual reproduction. 1. Fission, 2nd. Budding, 3rd. Fragmentation, and 4th. Vegetative propagation. Fission is again of 2 types: binary fission and multiple fission. Let us study them one by one in this video. Let us start with fission. In this, the parent cells divides, or you can say cell division takes place in parent cell. As a result, 2 or more individuals are formed. Such type of reproduction is seen in protists and monerans. Fission is of 2 types: binary fission and multiple fission. What is binary fission? It is the division of parent cell into 2 individuals, and it is seen in amoeba and paramecium. You can see the diagram. This is parent amoeba. It is forming 2 daughter cells, and this is the parent paramecium forming 2 paramecium. Clear? Now, what is multiple fission? It is the division of parent cell into many individuals, and it is seen in Plasmodium and also in amoeba. Now you can see in the diagram also multiple fission in Plasmodium. This is the Plasmodium, and many daughter cells are formed by multiple fission in Plasmodium. Clear? Now what happens under unfavorable condition in case of amoeba? Amoeba withdraws its pseudopodia. Amoeba अपने pseudopodia को withdraw कर लेता है and secretes a 3-layered hard covering. This is the outer covering. 3-layered hard covering is formed around amoeba, and this is called as cyst. And the process of formation of cyst is called as encystation. Next, under favorable condition, जब favorable condition वापस आती है, encysted amoeba undergoes multiple fission. Encysted amoeba के अंदर multiple fission होता है, you can see here, and as a result many minute amoeba or pseudopodiospores are formed. These are pseudopodiospores which are formed inside the encysted amoeba. Next what happens? The cyst wall, जो cyst wall है वो break हो जाती है, burst हो जाती है, and spores are liberated. Spores बाहर निकल आते हैं, and these spores grow up into many amoebae. You can see here the release of active amoebae here, and this process is called as sporulation. So in this way multiple fission takes place in encysted amoeba. Clear? Second method of asexual reproduction is budding. You can see budding in case of yeast. In yeast what happens? The division is unequal. You can see this is the parent cell, parent yeast cell. This divide into two, and this division is unequal. One is smaller size cell and other is the bigger size cell. As a result, this smaller part is called as buds. So buds are produced during the division, which is unequal. Bud remains attached to the parent cell initially. Initially ये parent cell के साथ attached रहती है, and after maturation जब वो mature हो जाती है, it is detached from the parent body. ये parent body से अलग हो जाती है, separate हो जाती है, and form new individual. This type of asexual reproduction is found in Hydra. You can see the bud here. This is Hydra. You can see this reproduction in sponge as well as in yeast. Clear? Next method of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. In this, body breaks into distinct pieces, or you can say into fragments, and each fragment grows into an adult and capable of producing offspring. Such type of reproduction is seen in Hydra. You can see here, this is the parent Hydra. It breaks into two pieces, piece number A and piece number B. A will form complete Hydra, B will also form complete Hydra. And these two new Hydra are now capable of producing new offspring. This type of reproduction can also be seen in planaria. Now, fourth method of asexual reproduction is vegetative propagation, and it is found in plants. If the reproduction takes place by vegetative parts like stem, roots or leaves of plants, the reproduction is called as vegetative propagation. And the units of vegetative propagation are capable of giving rise to new offspring. And these units of vegetative propagation are called as vegetative propagules. You can see this is tuber, this is rhizome, this is bulbil, this is leaf. All these are capable of producing new offsprings. So these are all vegetative propagules. Here are the examples of vegetative propagules. Number 1, buds or eyes of potato tuber. This is potato tuber. Second, rhizomes of banana and ginger. This is the rhizome of ginger. New plantlets arise from nodes of modified stem. This tuber and rhizome are modified stems, and nodes of these tuber and rhizome, they help in producing new plantlets. The nodes come in contact with damp soil. जब भी ये नोड्स डैम्प सॉइल या वाटर के कॉन्टैक्ट में आती हैं, दे प्रोड्यूस रूट्स एंड दे फॉर्म न्यू plants. This is the new plant arising from the nodes, and this is also the new plant arising from the node of tuber. Clear? See some more examples of vegetative propagules. Adventitious buds of bryophyllum. This is the bryophyllum from where the adventitious buds arise. They arise from notches at margins of leaves. You can see the margin of leaf and there are the notches, and from these notches the adventitious buds arise, and these buds they develop into new plant. Next is bulbil of agave. This is the bulbil of agave. Next is offset of water hyacinth. This is the offset of water hyacinth. This is also water hyacinth, showing asexual reproduction by vegetative propagation. Let us study some more important points about the water hyacinth. Scientific name of water hyacinth is Eichhornia crassipus, and it is called as terror of Bengal. It is actually an invasive weed which grow in standing water. Standing water में ये grow करती है. इसको इंडिया में क्यों लाया गया था? It was introduced in India because of two reasons. One, because of its beautiful pink color flowers. इसके flowers का color देखिए, it was beautiful. Because of the color of the flower, it was brought to India. And because of the shape of leaves. इसके leaves की shape भी देखिए, it is very nice and beautiful shape. Because of these two reasons, these plants were introduced into India. But in very short period of time, it spreads all over the water. पानी में चारों तरफ ये बहुत जल्दी फैल गया क्योंकि इसमें वेजिटेटिव प्रोपगेशन से रिप्रोडक्शन होता है. एंड एज अ रिजल्ट इट ड्रेन्स ऑक्सीजन. सारी ऑक्सीजन वाटर से ड्रेन कर लिया एंड विच लेड्स टू द डेथ ऑफ एक्वाटिक फिशेस. पानी में रहने वाली फिशेस मरने लगी क्योंकि वहाँ पर ऑक्सीजन की कमी हो गई. दैट्स वाई इट वॉज कॉल्ड एज अ टेरर ऑफ बंगाल. यहाँ डायग्राम में आप नोट कीजिए डिफरेंट मेथड्स ऑफ वेजिटेटिव प्रोपगेशन फाउंड इन प्लांट्स. A is runner, B is sucker, C is tuber, D is bulbil, E is rhizome, and F is offset. These are the different ways of vegetative reproduction found in plants. Let us see other asexual reproductive structures. Zoospores. These are zoospores. What are they? They are microscopic motile structure. बहुत छोटे साइज के मूवमेंट वाले, दे कैन मूव. दे आर द मोटाइल स्ट्रक्चर्स फाउंड इन एल्गी एंड प्रोटिस्ट. एग्जाम्पल क्लेमिडोमोनास. नेक्स्ट इज कोनिडिया. यू कैन सी हियर दीज आर द कोनिडिया फाउंड इन पेनिसिलियम. देन जेम्यूल्स, दे आर फाउंड इन द स्पॉन्जेस. सो दीज आर द डिफरेंट वेज ऑफ asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a common method in simple organisms like algae and fungi. During adverse conditions, they shift to sexual method. Now come to higher plants. Higher plants reproduce asexually, vegetative method से, and sexually also, but most of animals show only sexual reproduction. Let us now start with sexual reproduction. It is the reproduction that involves the formation of male and female gametes. इसमें male gametes and female gametes बनेंगे. कहाँ से बनेंगे? Either by the same individual. एक ही individual के पास दोनों sex organs present हैं and it can form both male gamete as well as female gamete, or they can be formed from different individuals of the opposite sex. या फिर दो different individuals हों, male individual and the female individual, and they form the male gamete and the female gamete. Okay. Now what happens next? When male gamete fuse with the female gamete, zygote is formed, and this zygote later on develop into new individual. Now what happens next? This new individual is not identical to the parent. Parents के बिल्कुल identical नहीं है. You can find certain variation in the new individual, and also the offsprings of the same parent, they do not resemble each other. They are not identical. They also differ from each other. Clear? So offsprings are not identical to the parents or among themselves in case of sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is an elaborate, complex and slow process as compared to asexual reproduction. And the period of growth to reach in maturity for sexual reproduction is called as juvenile phase. You can see here new individual जब sexual maturity तक पहुंचता है, this phase is called as juvenile phase, and in plants it is called as vegetative phase. In higher plants, the flowering indicates the end of vegetative phase. जैसे ही प्लांट्स में फ्लावर अपीयर होते हैं, आप कह सकते हो वेजिटेटिव फेज खत्म हो चुका है एंड देयर इज अ बिगनिंग ऑफ रिप्रोडक्टिव फेज. एनुअल प्लांट्स वो होते हैं जो अपनी लाइफ साइकिल को 1 ईयर में कंप्लीट करते हैं एंड बाइनियल प्लांट्स वो होते हैं जिनमें लाइफ साइकिल 2 ईयर्स में कंप्लीट होती है. सो एनुअल एंड बाइएनियल प्लांट्स शो क्लियर कट 3 फेजेस. इन दोनों तरीके के प्लांट्स में आपको 3 तरीके की फेजेस दिखाई देंगे क्लियर कट: वेजिटेटिव फेज, रिप्रोडक्टिव फेज एंड सेनिसेंट फेजेस, और यू कैन से ओल्ड एज. बट इन पेरिनियल प्लांट्स वो होते हैं जिनकी लाइफ साइकिल कई साल में कंप्लीट होती है. In these plants, these phases are very difficult to identify. We cannot easily identify the vegetative, reproductive and senescent phases in perennial plants. In some plants, they exhibit unusual flowering. For example, bamboo. These bamboo species flower only once in their lifetime. पूरी लाइफ टाइम में सिर्फ एक बार फ्लावरिंग आता है बैम्बू प्लांट्स में. That is after 50 to 100 years, and they produce a large number of fruits and then they die. Next, Strobilanthes kunthiana. They flower once in 12 years. 12 साल में एक बार इस प्लांट पर फ्लावर आता है. In animals, juvenile phase is followed by morphological and physiological changes prior to active reproductive behavior. यहाँ डायग्राम में देखिए, जब न्यू इंडिविजुअल रिप्रोडक्टिव फेज में एंटर करता है, बिफोर दैट वी फाइंड सर्टेन मॉर्फोलॉजिकल एंड फिजियोलॉजिकल चेंजेस इन द इंडिविजुअल. सी इन केस ऑफ बर्ड्स लिविंग इन नेचर, जो नेचर में पाई जाने वाली बर्ड्स हैं, दे ले एग्स ओनली सीजनली. हाउएवर बर्ड्स इन कैप्टिविटी, जो कि पोल्ट्री फॉर्म्स में रखी गई बर्ड्स हैं, they can be made to lay eggs throughout the year. They can lay eggs throughout the year. Here, the egg laying is not related to reproduction, but it is for commercial purpose for human welfare. Now, see the case of placental mammals. What are these placental mammals? These are the mammals in which the fetus is attached to mother by the help of placenta. And in females of these placental mammals, they exhibit cyclical changes in ovaries, accessory ducts and hormones during their reproductive phase. And the cyclical changes are called estrous cycle in case of non-primates like cows, sheep, rat, deer, dog, tiger, etc. And these cyclical changes are called menstrual cycle in case of primates like monkeys, apes and humans. Based on breeding seasons, mammals are of 2 types. 1. Seasonal breeders. 2. Continuous breeders. What are seasonal breeders? The mammals living in natural conditions, exhibiting reproductive cycles only during favorable seasons. Means these mammals can reproduce only in a particular season which is favorable to them. These are called as seasonal breeders. What are continuous breeders? They are reproductively active throughout their reproductive phase. It means they can reproduce at any time during their reproductive phase. These are called as continuous breeders. Last phase of lifespan, it is called as senescence or old age. It is the last phase of lifespan and end of reproductive phase. And during this, we find certain changes occur in the body, like slowing of metabolism, which ultimately leads to death of the organism. In both plants and animals, hormones cause transition between all the 3 phases: juvenile phase, reproductive phase and senescence phase of the life of plants and animals. And interaction between hormones and environmental factors, ये भी बहुत ही important role अदा करते हैं. Hormones और environmental factors के बीच में जो interaction होता है, They regulate the reproductive processes and the associated behavioral expression of organism. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for staying with me. Subscribe the channel to get the information about my new video. Thank you so much.